Damn, Jimmy, this some serious gourmet shit. Me and Vincent would have been satisfied with some freeze-dried Taster's Choice, right? And he springs this serious gourmet shit on. What flavor is this?
All right, welcome to Tomorrow's Fights. I'm Matt Catalano. This is Matt Smith. This is the Mixed Martial Arts blog and podcast. I say mixed martial arts, but today we're going to be talking about a boxing fight. 7 days away, Conor McGregor, 0-0, is going to be boxing Floyd Mayweather, arguably one of the greatest defensive boxers of all time. And the Nevada State Athletic Commission sanctioned it. We are good to go. It's happening. What do you think? How you feeling?
It's amazing. I'm excited.
I'm excited. I don't know. Part of me, are you pissed off that he's not defending his belt in MMA right now, though?
No, not at all.
No, you don't want to see him fight Tony Ferguson, Khabib. That's the only thing that I'm upset about. But I think it's amazing that he got to this point.
Well, I think no matter what, it's a win for him. He's making a lot of money off this.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how you look at it, this is good for Conor McGregor. He's going to be back at MMA. After this, whatever happens, he's going to be back. He's not sticking with boxing.
The only way he doesn't come out of this a winner is if he gets brutalized in the first 3 rounds or something.
Yeah, I don't see him getting knocked out, though. He's going to be too big. It's going to go the distance, or somehow he knocks out Mayweather, which will be amazing if he breaks the internet.
I think if he goes the distance, it's a moral victory for Conor McGregor. Even though I think the most widely accepted outcome is Floyd by decision, right? So I mean, even if that happens and he looks somewhat okay, I think his stock goes up.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, but we're not going to break down the fight tonight. We'll save that for next week before the fight happens. What I want to talk about now is how we actually got to this point. I want to bring up the timeline. We'll go through this. It's I have my notes here juxtaposed to some UFC fights so you can have a perspective of when in time this was happening. So I want everybody to think about when this fight went from this is bullshit, I don't believe it, to wow, I have to take it seriously, I think it actually might happen. Because I'll admit, I didn't respect the possibility of this fight until the last minute, basically. And I almost felt kind of stupid because I kept telling my friends that it wasn't going to happen. Just think about that.
With you, I think it was TMZ that started this all. It was one reporter from TMZ.
When you're talking about when he said, I don't know who McGregor is or whatever?
No, it was the whole elephant and ant comment. I think that was in New York City. Mayweather said that. And then he actually tracked down McGregor, and McGregor responded to that comment. That's when this all started.
That's when the feud started. I also think we'll go through this in the timeline in a minute, but I think it was accelerated by McGregor's removal from UFC 200. I think after that, when he did the whole retirement thing, I think he was pissed off, and that's when one of the Floyd posters came out where people were like, "What the fuck?" But all right, let's move along. So, aside from the TMZ moment, the first time that either of them mentioned fighting each other, be it casual or whatnot, I have it in my notes, was January 8th, 2016. So think about this. This was about a year and a half ago. UFC 195, Lawler vs. Condit is happening. Great fight, by the way. And essentially, Mayweather's in an interview, and he's talking about how he thinks racism still exists in the sport, and he uses Conor McGregor as an example. And he says, when Conor McGregor talks trash, he's praised for it, and when I talk trash, I'm called arrogant. And basically, what he's trying to say is part of his success was attributed to fans being racist. So not a direct dig at McGregor, but I mean, kind of belittling him in that way. And McGregor responds on Instagram and basically says, don't bring race into my success. If you want to fight, sure, I'm down. And that was the first moment where either of them acknowledged anything about a fight between either of them. Nobody paid attention to that other than news tabloids, but I think that was the first point where either of them mentioned fighting each other. Then you fast forward, nobody talks about anything for a couple months. May 6th, this is when the UK tabloid The Sun reports a fight was on the verge of happening. I remember when this came out, and everyone's like, "What the hell is this?" Do you remember this when the tabloid came out and said that the fight was happening? This was pretty much exactly a year ago. But
I don't actually remember that.
so people brushed it off because it wasn't a reliable source. Somebody asked Dana White in a press conference, and he was like, "Nah, that's not true." So, anyways, then all in the month of May, in the next 30 days, this starts snowballing. This is around the time of UFC 198. Stipe and Verdum fight. Stipe retains the belt, knocks him out in the first round. What a weird fight, by the way. So this is about a year ago. Dana White basically says, yeah, if Floyd really wants to fight, he can give me a call and he can come to the UFC. Yeah, okay. Floyd goes on some talk shows and he says, yeah, I'll come out of retirement for Conor McGregor. And then a couple days later, Floyd says, you know what? I'll offer him $50 million to fight me. And McGregor responds and says, that's bullshit. I'm not doing it for $50 million. Floyd's the one that needs me. Floyd's not going to trick people into watching him versus Pacquiao anymore like he did last time. He's like, the fans aren't going to fall for that again. So, anyways, this all happens in the span of a month. They're all talking shit to each other. At this point in time, I'm still saying this is garbage, this is bullshit. Then UFC 200 happens. That's when Conor McGregor is famously removed from the card for failing to show up to a media conference, press conference. He's training in Ireland. Now, UFC 200, remember, was the rematch for Nate Diaz. So he's coming off this loss to Nate Diaz at UFC 196, 194. And Conor's training for UFC 200, which is supposed to be this huge card, just like UFC 100. And so he blows off this media event because he's training in Ireland, and he says, I really need to focus. I'm fighting a longer, taller, heavier man. He sent out this whole rant, and then there was this whole back and forth between him and Dana White, and no one ever knew if they were going to put him back on the card for UFC 200. You remember that?
Yep.
Yeah, and so UFC 200 was like, it had a lot of big fights, but it didn't have that that luster, and it just really never got it back. I was just really hoping they were going to get McGregor back on that card. They never did. They ended up dragging Brock Lesnar out of retirement to fight Mark Hunt. I mean, even with that fight, I never felt like that card ever got back to what it could have been with McGregor on it. So fast forward through that, McGregor goes and gets his boxing license in California. This is on November 30th, 2016. So Floyd Mayweather does not fight in California, but Conor McGregor wanted to go get his boxing license in Nevada. And this is still all, like, people are thinking he's just doing this just to stir up some drama, right? So he tries to get it in Nevada, and Nevada says, no, you didn't pay us yet for that water bottle throwing incident with you and Nate Diaz, so we're not going to give you a boxing license. So he's like, fuck it, whatever, I'll go to California. You don't need my money. Peace. Anyway, so this kind of fuels a lot of speculation, like, oh my God, is he taking this seriously? A couple of my casual friends start coming up to me at this point and saying, like, is this fight real? Which I'm vehemently denying, of course. And this is actually right after he gets the California boxing license. Or sorry, this was a little bit after. Right before he gets the California boxing license, that's when he knocks out Alvarez. That's at UFC 205 on November 12th. And that was the last time we saw McGregor in the cage. So right after that, everyone's like, what's he going to do? And he starts saying, I'm going to take time off, I'm having a kid, blah, blah, blah. And that's when he goes and gets the boxing license in California. December 9th, 2016, so about 2 weeks or a week after he gets his license, odds makers release odds for the fight. And we'll touch on this a little bit after the timeline. But at the time of December 9th, 2016, they listed Mayweather at minus 2,250 and McGregor coming back at an underdog of plus 950. And just to provide some context, what that means is MMA odds are based on the $100 system. So if someone is minus 2,000, you have to risk $2,000 to win 100 because he's so likely to win. McGregor, on the other hand, at plus 950, if you bet $100, you could win 950 because odds makers are telling you that it's so likely that he's going to lose. Okay, so that's about the same time that UFC 206 happens. Max Holloway defeats Anthony Pettis at 145 for the belt. Great fight. Okay, at this point, I'm still skeptical. I don't think the fight's happening. Do you remember how you felt at this point? Where were you now? Did you think that it was really going to happen? Like, what did you think McGregor was going to do after Alvarez? Let's say that.
Well, it's funny you mention this because the TMZ story was on November 15th, so that was 3 days after UFC 205.
And that was right before he got his boxing license, too.
And this is when Mayweather comments, "Oh, I didn't even know he was fighting. I'm an elephant. He's an ant." That whole deal.
I did.
McGregor responds to that. I think it was the same day to the same reporter. So that's when I thought maybe there's a chance they'd fight. It really came down to, though, was Dana White gonna actually allow this?
Right. Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
And I think a lot of casual fans didn't understand that McGregor can't do anything without the UFC's consent because he's locked into a contract. And I remember having to explain that to a lot of people.
And he's trying to say, well, technically he's on an MMA contract, not boxing. So he was going to try to skirt it, but I'm pretty sure Dana White has some say in this.
Right. I mean, his UFC contract definitely is exclusive. He can't do anything else. But I think there were rumors that he could try using the Ali Act, which is basically supports boxers in anything that restricts them from boxing. And since he had a boxing license, I mean, I guess I shouldn't even use quotes. He got approved in California. He maybe could have done that, but that would completely ruin his relationship with the UFC, which is probably not something he wanted to do. Anyways, fast forward January 28th, so a month later. This is one of my favorite parts of the story. Dana White is asked in an interview, "So what are the chances of this fight happening?" And Dana White says, "Well, let me tell you what. I think I have a better chance of being a backup quarterback for Tom Brady in the Super Bowl than this fight happens," which I love that. I just want to immortalize that and hang it on a wall, along with the other famous Dana quotes of things that will never happen, like Nate Marquardt will never fight in the UFC again, or women will never fight in the UFC, Chris Cyborg will never fight in the UFC. I just want to hang it next to all those quotes. Anyways, so that's about the same time that Shevchenko was fighting Julia Pena and actually armbarred her on a UFC Fox event. Fast forward from January to March 12th, 2017. Floyd comes out and says, "Hey guys, I'm officially out of retirement, and it's only for McGregor." I mean, whatever that means. That's the same time as UFC 209 Woodley versus Thompson 2. Let's all just forget that fight happened. March 16th. March 16th, 2017. This is the first time that Dana White actually says, maybe this will happen. So that is all of, 3 months after he said the quarterback comment.
Well, I think Dana White, once he realized that this probably was going to happen, he needed to make sure the UFC was on board with it, and so they can make their money. It's kind of weird that a boxing match is now going through the UFC app, by the way. You can order literally a boxing match that's going to be hosted by Showtime through the UFC app right now. So they're definitely in it for the money. Let's put it that way.
Oh, for sure. I mean, once they figured out that it could happen, and the revenue that it could generate is incredible. I mean, yeah,
it's good for the brand too, because if you can get people that are into boxing now interested in MMA, it works out good for them.
Yep. So March 16th, 2017, Dana White admits to a reporter that he thinks the fight actually will happen. April 5th, 2017, about 3 weeks later, John Kavanagh, McGregor's head coach, says they've started training for the fight. This is the same time UFC 210, Cormier Johnson 2. That's when Cormier rear naked choked Anthony Johnson. I believe it was the third round. Johnson retires. Weird. But yeah, it really seems like that was just yesterday. Okay, then a month later, May 8th, 2017, Triple G and Canelo, which is a boxing fight that a lot of people didn't think was going to happen, that gets booked for September 16th. And Dana White comes out and says, "Hey, we just lost the date for the Mayweather McGregor fight." And at this point, I'm like, what the fuck? Is this real? So that was maybe the first point where I was like, wait, I can't tell if he's full of shit or not. So at that point, I'm starting to get confused about like whether this is really gonna happen. But it's this next moment where I finally admitted to myself that it was happening. May 18, 2017, Dana White and Conor McGregor announced that their side of the deal is done. And at this point, I'm thinking, holy shit, they're really gonna do this. Now at this point, a lot of media outlets are coming out and they're still skeptical. They're saying, listen, their side of the deal is probably 10%, like 10% progress wise. Mayweather probably has all these crazy demands, and who knows what happens. So fast forward 30 days, June 15th, 2017, Nevada Athletic State Commission approves August 26th date for the fight, and on the same day the fight's officially announced. That's around the same time of UFC Hunt versus Lewis. And that was 2 months ago. Only 2 months ago. So I would say around the time that Dana White actually said that their deal was done, that's when I took it seriously. What about you? Were you onto it before then?
Way before that, dude. As soon as I saw Conor McGregor talking shit in response to what Mayweather said, I knew that he wanted to fight him. It was on.
I just didn't think the UFC was ever going to let it happen. That was it for me. But I guess once it was apparent, like just how much money could be made, that's when they jumped in and they were like, we got to do this. They got a bill to pay, man. They got debt. They got a loan to pay. WEIMG. They got a loan to pay, man. Billions. All right, so I also think it's pretty crazy that the fight was announced only 2 months ago.
Let me move the dog out of here.
All right. All right, well, Matt's playing with the puppy. So one thing I think that's interesting to note, June 15th, 2 months ago, the fight's announced. A 2-month camp I would say, is average to a little short. But then you have April 5th. That's when John Kavanaugh said they started training. So whether you believe that or not, it's up to you. So one thing, Matt, June 15th, 2 months ago, that's not a lot of time to train for McGregor.
This is true.
For a sport that that's not his primary focus, let's say. Again,
but to be honest with you, I don't see it that way, though, because he's been fighting his whole life. So, yes, he's got to transition to boxing. Yes, he's probably going against the best boxer of all time, arguably. But he's still a fighter at the end of the day. So I think that's why the odds are also going a lot less in Mayweather's favor.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. So let's move on to the Paulie Malignaggi story. So I'll provide some context for listeners. Paulie Malignaggi is a former world champion. He's been retired for about 5 months, and the McGregor camp brought him in as a sparring partner for Conor McGregor. So essentially what happened is Paulie goes on some talk shows and said, yeah, I'm gonna go to the McGregor camp and help him spar. And so he's off. Now it comes out that they end up doing 8 rounds the first night, and then some other night they do 12 rounds, which is what the Mayweather fight's going to be. Now, during this time, McGregor's photographer, 3 photos come out. One of the photos they're all, of course, in McGregor's favor. The 3 pictures come out. One of them is like McGregor punching Malignaggi, and the last photo is of a Paulie on the floor, which you can, how to get there, right? So the last picture is of Malignaggi on the floor, and Paulie freaks out basically, and he says, "I'm officially leaving the McGregor camp. This is bullshit. He didn't knock me down. He didn't knock me down." He's like gets super defensive. And nobody saw any of the footage yet, so people are kind of, I would say they're siding with Paulie here. Anyway, so, of course, I think maybe like 2 days after that, Paulie leaves the McGregor camp, and he says, oh, it's all bullshit. I kicked his ass. I was never knocked down. It was a push. He literally just pushed me down, and I tripped. Which, I mean, that happens in boxing, and then the ref waves it off. But there's usually never any punches thrown. You know, when you see like a slip or a trip in boxing that they call the no knockdown, I mean, I think of like a push as like a push off, and then maybe he trips over the guy's foot, and they just wave it off. So this is like basically what Paulie is telling people. He goes on everybody and their brother's show and talks about it for hours. He goes on Ariel Helwani's MMA Hour, talks about it for an hour of how it was just a push down. He's explaining it. He's saying, you know, he's disparaging Mayweather in the camp. So what does Dana White do like 3 days later? Of course, he releases like 8 seconds of the footage, and he releases the knockdown. And before I ask you whether you think it was a legit knockdown or not, I'll just say maybe we'll splice this in here or something. But I will say there are punches thrown, and Paulie Malignaggi hits the floor. So is it a knockdown?
It's not really clear, to be honest with you, in my opinion. I watched it several times. It kind of looks like there's like a push in the beginning. I don't know if he's just at the end, if he fell back. I really don't know. It's kind of hard to say.
So that's fair. And I'll say after the footage,
if you look when he lands, you know, like when people get knocked down, they're a little disoriented usually. When he lands, he looks like he just rolls to his back. Like he planned to just kind of fall back. I don't know.
Yeah, and to Paulie's credit, he goes back on the MMA Hour after this footage leaks, and he goes on a couple other shows, and he's pretty honest about everything. But it definitely, he admitted that it looked more legit than he remembered. But I'll be honest, I think if that happens in a fight, they call it a knockdown. I mean, there's punches being thrown and you fall. I think they'd call that a knockdown. But anyways, I don't even think that's the most interesting thing to come out of that story. I think that the boxing community as a whole kind of assumed that even an out-of-shape Paulie Malignaggi was going to come in and wipe the floor with Conor McGregor. And even Paulie admitted that didn't really happen. He admitted that McGregor took rounds off him. I think in the 12-round sparring session, I think he used terminology to say something like the first 5 or 6 rounds were pretty even. I dominated the middle 5 rounds, and McGregor dominated the 11th and 12th. And it's like, when I heard that, I thought McGregor's doing better than I thought. I mean, I also expected Paulie to be able to easily win 12 rounds with even an out of shape Paulie, but I guess that didn't happen. And I mean, that might also be a reason that the odds are closing. I don't know. What did you make of that? You think that helps McGregor?
I think the video definitely helped him out, especially with the odds. I don't think the video shows enough to really kind of see an understanding of like if his boxing is going to be where it needs to be to go against Floyd, but it should be an interesting fight, man. And he definitely looks strong. You know he's got the knockout power, and he's definitely unorthodox for a fighter coming into boxing. So I think he's got a chance. He's got a puncher's chance, right? Isn't that what they call it?
Well, so let's talk about that. Great transition. So a couple days later, the Nevada State Athletic Commission approves the 8-ounce gloves. So anytime you're in a boxing fight at above 147, I believe, I might be wrong on this, but it's somewhere around that weight, you have to use 10-ounce gloves. So they were going to fight at 154, so they're supposed to use 10-ounce gloves. Now, Mayweather sends some like Instagram post to Conor McGregor and says, hey, let's do 8 ounces. Because this is how things get changed in the athletic commission, right? Via social media. So McGregor responds and says, sure, I don't give a fuck. I fight in 4 ounce, which I thought was pretty funny. And then they actually moved this to the athletic commission. And if you listen to this hearing, like I heard snippets of it, it is the most bullshit hearing ever. They're basically like, well, these rules are rules for a reason, but I'll make an exception. And it's pretty much just like every guy says the same thing. It's all about the money. It's so funny. No one gives like a scientific reason of like why this is okay. And you know the reason is just cash money, but nobody can say that. So I thought that was kind of funny. one thing to note here, Floyd has fought most of his career in 8-ounce gloves. So a lot of people immediately said, whoa, this is a big advantage to McGregor because smaller gloves. If his only chance is to knock out Mayweather, then that obviously helps McGregor. But now with the smaller gloves, he's going to have more trouble blocking Mayweather's punches. And if Mayweather unloads a huge, like let's say Mayweather's whole game plan is to wear down McGregor's body and sap his cardio. I'm not trying to.
That's 100% what it's going to be, but okay.
I think so too, but I don't want to get into the fight breakdown yet, but that 8-ounce gloves are absolutely going to help Mayweather there. So, I mean, I want to say it helps both guys, and it's kind of a wash.
I don't think it's a wash at all. I think it's 100% going to be in McGregor's favor. This is going to help his endurance. He doesn't have to hold up his arms with fucking an extra couple ounces on there.
Is that credible? Isn't that negligible? I don't know.
No, it's not. I don't think it's negligible at all. Not after going that many rounds in the ring. I think it's going to be a huge favor for McGregor, especially coming from 4 ounces.
It's crazy to think he's going to be fighting for 36 minutes if he goes to. Is that right? I mean, are the rounds 3 minutes? We got to check that. But
I think it is 3 minutes, 12 rounds, right?
3 minutes, 12 rounds. 36 minutes. Damn.
But people are saying his cardio is good. I'm not questioning that, to be honest with you. I think he's going to go the distance.
So when was the Alvarez fight? It was November 12th. So the last fight McGregor had was 9 months ago.
Yeah, 9 months ago.
So
he had the kid, so he's obviously going to take time off for that. So there's a bunch of things going on.
John Kavanaugh said that they started training for the fight April 5th. So that's, how many months ago is April 5th?
Yeah.
May, June, July, August. So about 4.5 months ago. I mean, that's a long camp. He probably didn't start taking it seriously until about 2 months ago, but I hope his cardio is up to snuff. It's just, we'll say this.
You're going to have more breaks in shorter rounds. I think it's kind of a wash when it comes to that.
Yeah.
But back to what I was saying, though, with the gloves, though, I think the reason that you have, when you go to a bigger weight class or a heavier weight class, you have gloves that are a heavier weight is because there's more padding in them and less likely to knock somebody out. You take a big boy and put 4-ounce gloves on him, that's like bare knuckle fighting pretty much right there.
I mean, that's what the UFC heavyweight division is, my friend.
Yeah. And people get knocked out all the time.
One character, man.
So, I don't know. I think he's going to come in probably 15, 20 pounds heavier than Mayweather. And it's...
Oh, so...
It might not be pretty for him.
Did you see any of this stuff about their open workout? They had an open workout where they just, like, the media comes and, like, takes pictures of them and shit, and they just go there and they, like,
shout. It's the most awkward thing ever. Like, I don't even... They're punching out a bag, and it doesn't even look like the... It's not what they're going to do in the ring. I hope Mayweather doesn't... Or Floyd... Excuse me. McGregor or Mayweather doesn't act the way they did on those bags.
Well, so the boxing community is, like, crucifying McGregor for his movement training. Like, he has Ito Portal, the movement coach, and so McGregor just, like, warms up and does all this, like, wonky shit with his arms.
Yeah. The walk that he does, too? Yeah, I know what you're talking
ridiculous. I mean, he turns his body into, like, a little mini helicopter, and the boxing community is just like, what the fuck is this? What I think it was funny, though, John Kavanaugh, his coach, said that they were considering just coming out and doing a jiu-jitsu workout. Just like, fuck it. That would piss some people off. I wish they did that.
I think the whole thing was a joke. I think everybody, even Mayweather, if you watch his video, it looked like a joke.
No, he doesn't do shit. And if you watch all the promos that they're putting out with his promotion, like the, I forget what they're calling it. It's not like a prime time. It's something else. They're like the exclusive, following their life and training. There's not one clip of Mayweather actually training. Like, I know he is, but it's crazy how secretive he is about it, or how, like, he just wants to just not show any cards in his hand, And I think McGregor's kind of the same way. What do we see? 7 seconds of him boxing Paulie? What is that? Nothing. I think after that footage came out, Mayweather was like, yeah, we see some holes in his game. I'm like, 7 seconds of footage. Come on. It was basically like the equivalent to a Vine. I guess that technology's dead, right? But All right, the last thing we should cover, we mentioned it earlier, the odds. This is the most movement I've ever seen in a fight. So on December 9th, 2016, the odds makers released the odds for this fight. Mayweather opens at minus 2,250, which is insane. I mean, that's like when Chris Cyborg mauls one of those girls, she opens at like minus 1,000.
Yeah.
When Ronda Rousey was dominating, she was like minus 1,200.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's insane. So, anyways, they slowly start to trend towards McGregor. And today, the current odds, I can't fucking believe this. They're all the way down to minus 400 Mayweather and plus 300 for McGregor, the underdog. I mean, that's for this fight for an 0-0 boxer going against Floyd Mayweather.
What do you have the odds with Pacquiao fight?
Okay, Pacquiao was minus 200. Or sorry. Floyd was minus 200 against Pacquiao. So like he's only a little bit more of a favorite to beat McGregor. Like that's insane. Like let me pull these up. Like I kind of want to drop $400 on Mayweather just to win 100.
You're not gonna win.
Well, hold on. There's some really interesting.
I think you're gonna lose $400 actually.
Save it for the breakdown.
No, let's think about this real quick though.
Okay, hold on. But let me bring this up. There's some crazy odds for this fight. Okay, so if you want to just pick Mayweather, it's minus 400, or pick McGregor plus 300. So if you think McGregor's gonna win, you can drop $100 on him and win 300. But check this out. Okay, Floyd by decision is 275, plus 275. That's pretty good. Conor McGregor by KO is plus 325, which is essentially like the same that he is for the fight because people are saying that's the only way he's gonna win, right? So you don't get much value there. But oh my god, guess what Conor McGregor by decision is?
I don't even want to know.
Plus 1,600. That's insane.
Damn.
So if you bet $100, you win 1,600. I'll take that money and go fix my car, dude. Damn.
I'm telling you, if it goes past 5 rounds, it's Mayweather all day.
Yeah. So Conor McGregor is coming out and saying he's gonna end it in 4. So if you actually think McGregor ends it in 4, let me find this. There's a prop for this. There's a prop for fucking everything. Okay, Conor McGregor in round 3 and 4. So if Conor McGregor wins in round 3 and 4, plus 800. That's pretty nice. There's another. The only bet I really like here is I like Floyd by decision for plus 275. That's nice. You can do fight goes
I'll be
the
right back.
All right. You can do fight goes the distance for plus 200. But with the 8-ounce gloves, who knows if Floyd is considering finishing McGregor. There's some other goofy odds down here. Fight is a draw, plus 3,300. That ain't happening. Let's see. Mayweather by KO. Ooh, minus 150. So I guess that's fairly probable. You can get some Mayweather bets in the rounds. Let's see. Fight goes the distance, plus 200. This might be worth a look. Either fighter wins in round 5 to 8. So I mean, if you bet on that, you're kind of thinking that Mayweather is probably gonna finish him, or maybe he's gonna. Maybe Mayweather between rounds 9 and 12 might be a good bet. Man, there's literally everything. Anyways, if you're feeling confident about McGregor knocking him out before the 5th round, you can get that for plus 800. That's all you, buddy.
I'm just saying, don't doubt him. People doubted him in his first UFC title fight. They doubt him with Alvarez, and he dismantled him so quickly. I was actually impressed.
That was a great fight.
He actually made him look like he shouldn't even be at that level of fighting. You know what I mean? Like he wasn't a champion.
I mean, Alvarez looked horrible that fight.
I
It
also
looked
think he didn't take it serious because he didn't
looked
think
like
he was
a
actually
joke.
going to.
It's crazy because Alvarez, like, I thought the pressure kind of got to him. Maybe, I mean, he performed so poorly, and I think Alvarez is one of the all-time great lightweights. I mean, he came from Bellator, Pride. He was over there in Japan fighting everybody, fighting Shinya Aoki, and avenged that loss in Bellator. I mean,
Dude, and think about this though. Even when he fought Nate Diaz, he went against an opponent who was like 30 pounds heavier than he was supposed to be.
yeah.
And dude, the only reason Nate didn't get knocked out is because the Diaz brothers can take a hit.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about the second fight or just both fights?
I'm just saying both fights in general. Like it was kind of amazing.
I think McGregor didn't take him seriously in the first fight.
Well, he also shouldn't have fought when the guy is that much bigger coming into it. He really, the cardio and everything, it just was all fucked up.
I think
bad fight for him.
I think he underestimated how durable Nate Diaz was because he was
yeah.
those first round, like that first round.
He was beating the piss out of his face. I actually didn't understand how he was still trucking forward.
I was turning to the people in the room with me, and I was just like, Nate Diaz is fucked, and I was so wrong. That was one of the nights where I had like all my jiu-jitsu friends over, and Diaz finishes him, and they love the Diaz brothers. Like every jiu-jitsu guy loves the Diaz brothers. And when Nate Diaz finished him in, I think it was the second round choke. Holy shit, they fucking exploded.
Yeah, but Conor, you could tell, was spent though.
No, he was done.
By the second round, he was done.
He was done. Yeah, but you know what? He came back stronger. He didn't make that mistake the second time.
Mm-hmm.
People thought he was done in the third round in the second fight, and he got that second win. He won the fourth round, and that was a championship fight for him. That was good. All right, we're going on some tangents here. Let's wrap it up.
All right.
So, we'll probably drop another video next week before the fight. Check that out where we'll actually do a real breakdown. I just can't believe this is 7 days away and we're going to be like sitting down watching Conor McGregor box.
Can we just talk about that this is $100 fight, by the way, on pay-per-view?
Yeah.
How ridiculous is that?
Well, that's what what was the Pacquiao Mayweather fight? I think that was 100 as well.
Probably $100, yeah.
I just went to some guy's house and gave him $5. So yeah, I'll probably be inviting all the jiu-jitsu guys over and making them pay $5 at the door. You know,
I have to charge 10. This thing's expensive.
I know, right? All right. That's crazy. So yeah, we'll have another video before the fight where we'll do a real breakdown. Until then, you got any sign-offs? Anything to say?
Peace.
All right. This is Tomorrow's Fights. Like our video on YouTube. You can find us on @TomorrowsFights on Twitter. Tomorrow's Fights on Instagram and Facebook.com/TomorrowsFights. TomorrowsFights.com, that's the webpage. Alright, peace out.
I don't need you to tell me how fucking good my coffee is, okay? I'm the one who buys it. I know how good it is.